India's biggest opposition leader has now been detained, tear gas has filled the streets of New Delhi, and a youth movement that began as an online joke has become the most serious public challenge to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government in years. Rahul Gandhi's arrest during a protest outside the Prime Minister's residence has transformed what started as a student campaign over leaked examination papers into a full-scale political confrontation. The movement calls itself the Cockroach Janta Party, but its demands are no longer just about education. They now raise fundamental questions about democracy, accountability, and the future of India's next generation. To understand why this crisis has escalated so quickly, we need to look at how it began. Just weeks ago, the Cockroach Janta Party barely existed. The movement emerged after India's Chief Justice compared some unemployed young people to cockroaches during an unrelated court hearing. Instead of treating the remark as an insult, students embraced it. They adopted the name as a symbol of resistance and began organizing through social media. At first, their demands focused on one issue: reforming India's examination system. For years, repeated leaks of entrance exams for medical colleges and government jobs have sparked outrage across the country. Millions of students spend years preparing for highly competitive tests that determine their educational and professional futures. When examination papers leak, many believe merit loses its meaning and corruption replaces fairness. The protests gained national attention after activist Sonam Wangchuk began a hunger strike demanding reforms. His forced removal to a hospital by police fueled public anger. Then thousands marched toward parliament. Police responded with tear gas, batons, and mass detentions. Videos of officers striking young demonstrators spread rapidly across social media, generating sympathy far beyond student circles. Now the crisis has entered an entirely new phase. The detention of Rahul Gandhi changes the political equation completely. Until now, the government portrayed the demonstrations primarily as student unrest. Gandhi's participation transforms them into a confrontation between India's ruling party and its largest opposition force. During the protest outside Prime Minister Modi's residence, Gandhi demanded the resignations of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, and Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. He accused the government of refusing accountability and avoiding debate inside Parliament over the education crisis. Police then detained Gandhi along with several senior opposition leaders, including his sister Priyanka Gandhi. The images quickly spread across television and social media. Supporters attempted to shield Gandhi as police officers carried him away. Later reports suggested he suffered injuries during the detention, though authorities have not publicly confirmed those claims. Whether intentional or not, the arrest gave the protest movement something every political campaign seeks: a nationally recognized political face. That makes it significantly harder for the government to describe the movement as isolated student activism. But Rahul Gandhi's detention is only one part of a much deeper political calculation. Prime Minister Modi has built his political image around decisive leadership, economic development, and national stability. That reputation now faces a difficult test. The government must balance two competing priorities. On one side, officials argue that maintaining law and order around Parliament and the Prime Minister's residence remains essential. Authorities say unauthorized demonstrations near sensitive government buildings create security risks, especially during Parliament's active session. On the other side, every forceful police response appears to strengthen the protesters' message. Videos showing officers using tear gas, canes, and batons against young demonstrators have generated widespread criticism online. Images of students crying while pleading with police spread rapidly across digital platforms, creating emotional momentum that organizers could never have produced alone. According to Delhi police, nearly 180 people suffered injuries during Monday's clashes, including more than 100 security personnel and around 60 protesters. Those numbers illustrate the scale of the confrontation. The government now faces a familiar challenge seen in many democracies. Strong enforcement may restore immediate order, but it can also increase long-term political resistance if large sections of the public view the response as excessive. That calculation becomes even more complicated as new groups continue joining the demonstrations, and that may prove to be the most significant development of all. The cockroach movement no longer consists only of university students. Families, professionals, teachers, activists, and opposition supporters increasingly participate alongside young demonstrators. Its demands have also expanded. Initially, protesters sought reforms to India's examination system and the resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Today, many participants speak about government accountability, transparency, and citizens' right to question elected leaders. That evolution matters. Movements centered around one specific issue often fade once public attention shifts elsewhere. Movements built around broader political values usually prove more durable. Social media has accelerated this transformation. Organizers rapidly distribute videos, coordinate demonstrations, and shape public narratives without relying on traditional political institutions. Generation Z has become the driving force. Many young protesters openly argue that they refuse to inherit a system they believe no longer guarantees equal opportunity. Their message increasingly resonates beyond campuses because millions of Indian families invest enormous financial and emotional resources into competitive education. When confidence in that system declines, the issue affects society far beyond students themselves. The government therefore confronts something larger than a protest. It confronts a generation demanding institutional credibility. For India, the immediate challenge involves restoring confidence in both the education system and democratic institutions. If examination reforms fail to materialize, public frustration could continue expanding beyond universities into broader political debates. For South Asia, the protests demonstrate how education, employment, and youth expectations increasingly shape political stability. Countries across the region face similar demographic pressures as millions of graduates compete for limited professional opportunities. International observers will also watch how India's institutions respond. As the world's largest democracy and one of the fastest-growing major economies, India's handling of public dissent carries significance beyond its borders. Investors, allies, and regional partners all value political stability. At the same time, they also monitor how democratic governments manage peaceful protest and political opposition. The coming days could therefore prove critical. Protest organizers have pledged to continue demonstrations until their demands receive meaningful attention. The government must now decide whether negotiation, reform, enforcement, or some combination of all three offers the best path forward. Movements rarely choose the moment they become historic. Sometimes that moment arrives when students march. Sometimes it arrives when an opposition leader is arrested, and sometimes it arrives when an entire generation decides it will no longer accept silence as the price of its future.